Welcome to the Sisterhood Collective podcast, where we empower women to break barriers, overcome limiting beliefs, and achieve true success. I'm your host, Laurie, entrepreneur and founder of 5 successful businesses. Join me as I share proven strategies, interview inspirational leaders, and provide behind-the-scenes insights to help you level up in your business, career, and in life. Because together, we can get further faster. Okay, let's dive in. So if you follow me on socials or you've been following my journey, you would know that I'm really trying to focus on being present and enjoying my life and my journey right now. And don't get me wrong, I'm having a great old time, but I have been creating excuses not to do the things. And one of those things I found every single excuse under the sun for is, wait for it, that I don't have the time to train. Now, anyone that knows me knows that fitness has literally been my entire world. I was super fit and competitive growing up in athletics and sport, and while I was in the army for that matter. And of course, I've had a gym for 10 years, just before selling it last year to one of my coaches and his wife. And I still own 2 gyms. And I've always loved training. I've always loved sports. In fact, anything to do with fitness. And not only that, I've always loved helping others get healthier through fitness. So why have I suddenly put this on the back burner and not made it my priority? It just really doesn't make much sense to me. So I have just come back from the gym, and while I was there, I was thinking I need to talk about this because I actually feel a little bit pumped right now. So let me just go into a little bit of detail here. I primarily use the excuse of building and dedicating my focus and time purely on my businesses. And I have quite a few. And so I am juggling a lot of things. They are definitely my priority. But when I think about who I used to be and what makes me who I am, fitness is just such a big pillar of my world. So again, why, damn it, have I let this important part of me go? And not only that, I've felt rubbish, tired. I've had less energy. Everything has been more of an effort for me to get anything done right now. And I honestly stopped having fun. I no longer liked the fact that my body was changing, and I could use the excuse here that I'm getting a little bit older, but that's not it really. The entire of last year, I had choice. I could choose to go to the gym literally any day of the week and in any country I traveled. Sure, I've had a couple of weeks where I start to go to the gym for a few sessions, and I think we've all done this, but I just don't keep it up. And I fall back into this bad habit of letting my work commitments get the better of me. I think there's some psychology behind all of that, and there's some, deeper reasons as to why I'm doing that. But one thing at a time, I can honestly tell you this. I haven't been as productive as I could have been. And you can insert anything else here as to what pertains to you. Perhaps it's you're not cooking meals like you used to, or you're not getting out and meeting friends like you used to. You're being more of a hermit, or you're not studying like you should be and getting all the work done to get further in upskilling or your uni degrees or whatever. Or even not starting your business or not changing the job and being in this job that you're just not happy in, that doesn't challenge you anymore. But what does all this mean? For me, I always have a mentor. I feel like it's something that I need because it helps me grow, and it makes me look at things, I guess, from a different looking glass, which is super important to me because even when I mentor people, and I'm always trying to improve myself, right? So I want to be able to see things from different perspectives. But for me, my mentor helped me identify that I had this self-sabotaging habit that would creep in and prevent me from being the thriving version of myself. And I love this. And I love that she kind of highlighted this to me. Of course, she made me figure it out. So she wasn't the bad person, it was me. It was literally pivotal for me. I needed her to help me work through this. But I will tell you this, even though we were discussing it, this was last year, I still wasn't ready to make that change. Because I didn't have this willpower yet. It just wasn't there. And my why, my reason just wasn't strong enough to give me the kick up the butt I really needed to make this change. So although I really did have a pretty good year, if I'm being completely honest, I literally wasn't the thriving, authentic Loza, so many of you know, that I want to be. And when I look back, I was sick more times than I can remember in my entire life. I was injured. I was out for 6 weeks plus with some sort of, I don't know, spinal displacement and nerve pain. And that was painful. That was just a terrible part of my life. So basically, I had a shocker of a year from a health perspective. So something's got to give, right? And at the end of the day, no one could make this change, and they couldn't make me change from this shitty position that I had gotten myself into, because I was reasonably happy. Still doing all the travel. I was catching up with friends. I was doing all the things I like, but I had really lost sight of what was important to me. And to be fair, I also wasn't present in a lot of those moments. So I was doing the things, but wasn't necessarily psychologically and emotionally enjoying them. So really the last 3 to 4 months is when I really started doing the work. I needed to dig deeper and remember who I used to be. And, I teach this all the time. Sometimes you've just got to look in, right? The qualities I loved about me and what is important to me, I needed to remember who and what they were. And I do think knowing your values is super important. For me, this is where I started. I've not gone into my values for quite a while. Like Laurie's changed. This version of me has changed. My careers have changed. I've gone from being in the army, from working in the Middle East, to being a business owner, to a contractor, to then setting up multiple businesses, being a business mentor. Like the version of Laurie has just changed along the way. So with that, all my priorities have changed, and the position of where my values are of importance to me have also changed. So I needed to review all of this, and also my own personal vision. And that's what I've been working on. But I do know that values is important. And as I said, it's where I started, because it works nicely with understanding also your non-negotiables. And I talk about this a lot as well. These are the traits or actions that make me who I am when I love the version of me. So what are they? And when I believe I am my thriving self is when I understand my values, and when I literally put into place my non-negotiables. And part of that was me recognizing and making a priority of my personal self-care. We all know when we don't feel our best, we're not seeing the positives. We're not necessarily seeking all the opportunities. We're not seeking solutions, and we're not growing. We're kind of stuck in this fixed mindset. We're just doing what we need to get through each day, and primarily taking the easy option is certainly how I feel. And even things like saving time we order food, through Uber Eats because it's so easy and available. And to be honest, going to the supermarket, grabbing a few things that you need and cooking up a gorgeous, healthy feast is actually probably a lot faster than waiting. But we get into this, what's easy. And so for me as well, it was ordering food. But that's not healthy, but it's convenient. And, when we do that too, certainly for myself, we're probably overeating through larger portions because we're not in control of that. Or we're paying someone to do something for us rather than learning the machinations of that process so that we can enhance it or align it to our vision. Because by paying someone else to do it, we're saving time by them doing the work and allowing us to work on other things. And like I teach that buying back your time is most certainly a good thing most of the time, but not if it's an excuse to be lazy and keep you in a hole. But if you get in this state, what is your trigger to snap you out of a rut like this? This is what I needed to find. What I will say is this: my mentor walking me through this was about a 2-hour meeting, if I recall, and working through this visualization exercise of who I am in 10 years. And just the prompting questions that she asked me to feel those emotions and envisage who I am and where I am and what that looks like, and aligning different values to that version of myself. What is important? What isn't important anymore? It truly gave me this opportunity to look at my future and what happiness looked like to me in the future. It was pretty impactful, and it was the start of the trigger for me to start being a better version of me. I was listening to I think a YouTube video. It could have been a podcast when I'm in the gym. That's kind of what I do. And one of my favorite people, I'm not sure which one of the guys it was that I was listening to, but he was saying that most people quit their New Year's resolutions, or let's insert here intentional positive habits, within 15 days, because our brain is wired to return to old habits. Rewiring your neurological pathways through repetition of doing something can change your habits for sure, but you need to know the reason for wanting to change. So a big part of my realization with my mentor was realizing I wasn't looking after me. I was looking after my business or businesses. I was looking after my friends, but totally neglecting myself. And I think so many of you can resonate with this. But when I'm not looking after myself, how well am I looking after the people around me and my businesses? Because I'm not my thriving self. I'm doing what needs to be done, but not what could be done. I don't want that. I want more. And I'm super grateful here because one of my friends was hosting this retreat in Bali, and I had promised her way back in March last year that if I was in Australia, I would go and I'd support a new venture. And I can tell you this, neither of us thought I'd actually get there because I'm usually traveling or I'm all over the place. But as the universe would have it, this time I made my way to the retreat with about 20 other beautiful women from Australia and the US and my gal pal Tegan. And I knew that doing just a bit of yoga, Pilates and meditation, which is not normally what I would do, but also in connecting with women, this was going to spark my inner fire. I needed to get into these good kind of habits, which one was movement and two was fuel. All right, two important pillars of my life. So it did, it sparked my fire. And I don't need to walk you through all of this because I feel like I've talked about, Bali and what it's done for me. But I started to create these great habits again. And of course, I was moving, I was nourishing my soul through the super healthy foods. I had the sun, I had space to think and be creative. And I also had personal connection. And of course, in like my normal, typical self, I extended my stay, which is something I always seem to. I was like, I get to this place and then I suddenly think, oh, I should stay here longer. This is amazing. I want to move here. And I always generally stay 3 or 4 extra days. And that's just exactly what I did. And by staying, it led me to continue those healthy practices. And I met a few more very cool and interesting people. And I created a plan to come home with all the good intention to carry on these amazing habits that I've just created. And of course, guess what happened? I got sick. A day after I got home, boom, just like a freight train, crook as a dog for a good 10 days. And I mean literally in bed. I did still work and I pushed through as best I can, but not well. I got better for about 3 weeks and then boom, I got sick again for another 2 weeks. And what did I do in all that time? I fell into these bad habits again. I put everything off. Really, really frustrating. So after all the hard work, I was back to square one. And then, of course, I got busy with business. So, falling back into these bad habits, and it's something that we all do. We constantly fall back in these bad habits. And why? Because your reason needs to be strong to get you out of a bad habit. It's not a New Year's resolution. It's your reason. What's your why? And we talk about this all the time. Let me tell you what happened this year. I really, really, really wanted to get back into my fitness. I don't want to start New Year's resolutions. I am a big believer of setting intentions because I do goal setting every 3 months. And that's kind of the process that I go through. My reason for wanting to get back into fitness is because I know it makes me a better human. And I was out walking Lulu in the park, as we do a couple of times a day. And I think it was maybe the first week of January. And I had this conversation with myself. I think I was mentoring myself here, doing a bit of life coaching. Laurie, you need to hire a personal trainer because you clearly can't get yourself back into the gym. You need some sort of accountability. So I came back and said, put your ego aside here, little Loza, and contact your gym. So I reached out to my gym and they took 48 hours to get back to me. And of course, that was driving me nuts because when I make a decision, I want to act on that kind of ASAP. I literally had to chat to myself about the fact that I can do this myself. I am a PT, a qualified personal trainer. I can write a program for myself. And I also know how to train. And I have a membership. So what am I doing? I speak to my clients all the time and I expect them to make their self-care a priority and do these things. And we talk about the self-care in the mastermind almost every session. Anyway, it was in that moment I decided I wasn't going to allow excuses to hold me back. I wanted to be the version of me that gives me the energy and the drive, the zing in my step. So I got me a program and I got myself back into the gym. I don't want a year like I had last year, where I was sick all the time. I was injured from 1 or 2 sessions, and then I used those as the excuse, and it just kind of prevented me from moving forward. So my reason this year is strong. My reason for training is because it makes me happier. I literally feel a buzz after every single session. Like I said right at the beginning of this podcast, I sleep better. I have more energy. How's this for sleeping better? This morning, I woke up middle of the night randomly, and then at 7:20, and by the way, I never sleep to 7:20, my bestie Lauren voicemails me on that little walkie-talkie application on the, what is it, the Apple Watch. And she's like, "Good morning, sunshine." I was like, oh my goodness, scared the heebie-jeebies out of me, and it literally woke me up. So lesson to me this morning, turn off your Apple Watch to walkie-talkie in case your bestie wants to wake you up in the most random times. But anyway, when I train, I sleep better. I have more energy. I actually eat less because I want to fuel my body better, and I'm fuller for longer. And when I was younger, I was training 5 to 6 times per week, when I was back in the gym 30, 40, 50 hours a week. And sometimes I would train 2 times per day, which was a little bit about ego. And also because I always cared about what people think about me, because as a gym owner, I thought people needed to see me do that, and that I needed to look and behave a certain way. There's that fear, right, of what people think of you, which, we're all trying to snap out of, I imagine. I know I most certainly am trying to get better at not caring, and I think I am getting better. But I realize now, for my lifestyle, I don't have to train like I did when I was, 25. Nor do I care what others think so much, right? I am training for me. I need to train for my lifestyle. So I've adjusted how I train and the amount of times that I train according to my lifestyle needs. And I'm in such a better mood for it. I deal with stress better, and I'm actually way, way more productive. And I can tell you what, I'm so much more motivated and driven. I mean, those benefits alone are enough to make me want to keep going. So far, so good, right? I was talking to my mum the other day. I'd literally just been to 2 sessions. I'm like, "Mum, check out my body. I'm so toned. I'm feeling amazing." Of course, none of that had actually happened, but I feel it. Like, I literally emotionally feel, or psychologically, I just feel amazing just from training 2 times. That was all it took to get me in this space of, I'm doing the right thing, and I'm on a path here, and I'm not letting anyone get in the way of this one little goal, because it changes who I am. And I really feel like it makes me more confident. Maybe there's a bit of age and wisdom there, wink, wink. But if only we were as confident and as knowledgeable as we were in our 20s, maybe. Let's not go there, though, hey? That's opening up a can of worms and a whole other topic. Oh my God, the gym, literally my happy place. So what the hell was I doing last year? I want to be healthy. It's one of my non-negotiables, and it's also an area of my life that is a top priority, particularly for my first quarter goals. It's who I am, and it should be me, because me is important, and a healthy me is even more important. And a happy me, a fun me, is the real me, and I like her. So for those of you trying to break a bad habit, picture your life as it is now. The triumphs, the trials, the moments that define you. Now envisage the life you're dreaming of. What's holding you back from being the star that you were born to be? You are the narrator of your own story. You have the choice. It's the decisions that you make creates the focus and where you want to focus your life. For me, the realization that I needed to prioritize myself and the commitment to rediscovering the thriving version of myself, it's led me back to the gym. And it's not just about physical health. It's about being the best version of me. It's about living the best life I can in this one chance of life that I have. I want to enjoy my journey. How could I let such a big part of my life to date just dissipate? It's just not who I am. I guess one of my biggest lessons is that investing time in personal care is not a luxury. It's a necessity, right? My reason for falling into a bad life pattern, a bad habit, is way stronger than my desire to feel like I did last year. So as I wrap up this episode, I encourage you to reflect on the areas of your life that maybe you want to pay a bit more attention to, a bit more focus, and identify your why. What's your reason? And make the choice that aligns with the thriving version of yourself. Because remember, you are important and your well-being matters. Until next time, take care, stay healthy, and keep thriving. Thank you for joining us on the Sisterhood Collective podcast. Remember to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any upcoming episodes. And if you want to be the first to hear what is new at Sisterhood Collective, you can find out more on our Instagram, or you can sign up to receive our weekly newsletter and let the good times continue to roll. Now it's time to turn your clear vision into bold action. I'm Laurie Drummond, your host, and until next time, keep striving to live that best life. Take care, and we'll see you soon.